Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is convert between fractions, decimals, and percentages. There is some notes here on what to do. It says to change a percentage or a fraction to a percentage, you must multiply by 100. To convert a percentage to a fraction, divide by 100. To convert a percentage to a decimal, divide by 100. Okay? I find that very wordy. So instead of all those words, I'd like you to write down this little diagram, please. If you have got a fraction or a decimal, it can be converted to a percentage by multiplying by 100. If you have the percentage and you want to go to a fraction or a decimal, then you are going to divide by 100. Now the thing is, fractions and decimals, they're kind of there together. How do we change between the two of them? Well, the easiest thing to do is to press the SD button on your calculator. So if you do a calculation and it gives you a decimal, but you want a fraction, you press that SD button and it will change it for you. Okay, between those two things. All right, so let's give it a go. Question 1, rewriting these percentages as fractions. So write 17 over 25 as a percentage. It is currently a fraction. Okay, so I'm here, I'm at a fraction. If I want to get to a percentage, I need to follow this arrow which says multiply by 100. So I want you to write down 17 over 25. We're going to multiply that by 100. In your calculator, type it in. And there's your answer, 68. So it's 68, but it's a percentage, so we must include a percentage sign, 68%. Part B says, write 8.5% as a simple fraction. This time I'm giving you the percentage, and I want to go back this way to get to the fraction. So I need to divide it by 100. So you write down 8.5, and I want to divide it by 100. You have a choice. You can either go divide by 100 like that, or you can go divide by 100 like that. Now, it doesn't actually matter because your calculator with that SD button will change between the two of them, but probably that version, because I want a fraction, probably makes sense to put that down as a fraction like that. We have to have it simplified, so again, we type it in our calculator. We type in 8.5 divided by or over 100, and we press equals. It gave me a decimal. I don't want that. I wanted a fraction. So press that SD button, and there is the fraction, 17 over 200. Okay, question 2. We're now going to be converting between percentages and decimals. Last one we focused on fractions, now we want to focus on decimals. So I have 0.55 decimal, and I want to write that as a percentage. So decimal to a percentage, I have to times it by 100. So it's 0.55 times it by 100. That's an easy one to do. You might not even need your calculator. What is it? 55%. Very good. Part B, write 25% as a decimal. Follow the arrow. I need to divide it by 100. 25 divided by 100, either as a fraction or as a divide on the side. It's the same thing. But when I put it in my calculator, 25 over 100, if it gives me a fraction and I want a decimal, I press the SD. So 0.25. Okay, question 3. It says writing a quantity as a percentage is what we're trying to do here. So I'm going to be giving you two measurements. So I have 50 cents and $2.50. And I want to write the first quantity as a percentage of the second. It says in the brackets there, a little bit of a tip. You must have things in the same units for you to be able to do this. Okay, I can't have one of my numbers in cents and the other one in dollars. I have to make them the same first. You can choose which one you want to change, but it is easier to make the bigger unit into the smaller one because that will avoid more decimals. So out of cents and dollars, the dollars is the bigger one, right? So I want to turn $2.50 into cents. How do you turn dollars into cents? Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to go times by 100, which means that that one is going to be equal to 250 cents. Okay. All right. Now to make something a percentage, if I look back here at my diagram, a fraction or a decimal, to make something a percentage, you're going to have to times by 100. The question is where to start. The best place to start is to make a fraction. We've got two numbers. It's easier to turn those two numbers into a fraction and then multiply it by 100. So I have 50 cents out of 250 cents. That could be written as 50 out of 250. Kind of like if it was a score on a test. You write your score as a fraction, don't you? I got this out of that. Write it as a fraction. Then to make it a percentage, you times it by 100 because that's what my diagram at the top tells me to do. And let's type it in. 50 over 250 times it by 100 and it equals 20%. So 50 cents is 20% of $2.50. That's what that means. Let's try another one. This is exactly a test. We have a score of 23 out of 30. Maybe you got that on a test, who knows? If I was to give you that score on a test, I would write it as a fraction at the top of your page, wouldn't I? I would write down 23 out of 30. That is your score. But if I want to make that a percentage, how do I turn my fraction to a percentage? Times it by 100. So go times 100 and calculate it. 23 over 30 times by 100 equals. Now, that gave me a fraction, which is a little bit weird. I'm going to press my SD button to go to a decimal. You could do maybe a mixed numeral, would make sense. So either Shift SD, that would be a mixed numeral, 76 2/3, or the decimal, I don't mind which one. Okay, if I'm going to do a decimal, I am going to have to round it because that's a recurring decimal. So I could do 76.7, because I'm rounding, this next number is 6, percent, and that's rounded to 1 decimal place. I'm putting that little 1 dp in the brackets to say that I have rounded that answer. Okay, your other option would have been to have 76 and 2/3%. They're the same thing. Okay? Question C. Write 5 boys out of 11 students as a percentage. First thing we do is make it a fraction. We have 5 boys out of 11 people. To make it a percentage, I times by 100. Type it in, 5 over 11 times by 100. And again, we have the mixed numeral, so let's press the SD button. And I'll do 1 decimal place again. So what's that? 45.5. 45.5. If I round, whoopsie. If I round to 1 decimal place. Okay, does that make sense? All right, your work starts here on the next page.